We've been following this story from the beginning, the kidnapping and sexual assault of a defenseless 10-year-old poor little girl from Los Angeles. We're now getting word that the creeper responsible for the attack may have fled to Mexico. Joining us now to talk about how we can help your kids, my kids, identify stranger danger is mental expert Dr. Keith Kenner, but he's also going to talk about how we can help protect them without making them paranoid, because that's really important. We don't want them to be afraid to go outside and not trust anybody.
And that's the key, Taylor. See, when things like this happen, they're actually very rare. And the problem is that when it makes it onto TV, people get really, really worried that this is something that's common and happens a lot. But in actuality, kids getting kidnapped and molested, as awful and heinous as it is, statistics show that it doesn't happen that often. But we do have to, again, protect kids by teaching them important ways of identifying somebody who maybe is not healthy. But we got to be careful, because we don't want kids to think that any person that they meet or that is a stranger is a mean person, because despite what happens, most of the people in the world are nice people and good people. And of course, we're going to have some bad guys out there too, but most people are good. And we got to teach our kids that, look, most of the time people are going to be good, but sometimes people aren't, and teach them then things to look for in another person that would then help them determine whether that person is safe or not. And that's where we can offer some very important tips.
In this case of this little girl in Los Angeles, somebody took her in the middle of the night. We've heard this story before.
Right.
Usually ends up really bad. She was sexually assaulted. She was physically abused. But thankfully, the kidnapper took her somewhere, dropped her off. He didn't kill her, thankfully.
Yes.
But can you imagine how those parents are feeling? How will this little girl ever be normal again and move on? It's going to be so hard. But meantime, you hear about kids getting kidnapped. There was a boy not too long ago going to school, and strangers can trick the kids. Oh, your parent told me to pick you up. Your parents were in an accident. Those are the things too that we need to
and have to talk about how to handle those two things. And it's very, very important too that one of the tips that we always say is, look, before you ever go with another adult, you have to make sure that you teach your kids to check it out with your parents first. Parents are the boss. You have to be able to check it out. So you say, look, don't go with anybody unless it came from me, mom or dad, or if it's an uncle or an aunt, but somebody who you allocated, very important. So that's one thing you teach them. And then secondly, you also teach them that depending upon how somebody acts towards them, if somebody comes near them and they're mean to them, a mean adult, get away, run. Go tell somebody. If they're too nice to you, see, that's the other side. Is a lot of times, this is where you see the stranger come up and say, "Hey, will you help me find my lost dog?"
Yeah, because some of these pedophiles and weirdos, they love children. They not only love them, but they love them. So they know how to
and they're dangerous.
Hook them, right?
Yeah, it's bad. And so again, you're teaching your kids, look, some common things to know. If people are, mean, stay away. If they're overly nice to you too quickly, I use the comparison, like if you meet a dog for the first time, if you stick your face, you don't do that. You get to know the dog first before you do that. Same thing with people.
There's a trust time.
Right. The thing that concerns me a lot, though, is that we really don't want to teach our kids to be afraid of everybody, and that's the risk. And when something like this happens, kids are looking for parents to protect them and also educate them. Now, part of what happens in the households, like you said, it's very important when something like this happens that parents do go through the plan in the house. Hey, we keep our house safe, we have an alarm, or we lock our doors, and it's very important that you practice doing that just to show them that it's safe. So again, the key point right now for kids that are going through a difficult time, secure them, protect them, and educate them.
Let me tell you, I have a great alarm system. I've got police dogs in my house.
Yeah, it's good. No, you have to. I mean, it's important.
9mm with hollow points.
Yeah, really. Don't rob. Don't mess with you.
Don't mess with you. Don't mess with me.
Don't mess with her. No, stay out of your house. Your kids are safe. But it's an awful thing when something like this happens, and it makes us all have to be very conscientious. And as conscientious adults, we have to look out for people too. So you see, an adult. I mean, we use the old say, a man in a white truck. I mean, I hate to stereotype it. You see some guy sitting outside of a school in a truck by himself, and he doesn't have any kids. As conscientious adults, you're going to kind of hey, that's kind of weird, and call and get some help or go talk to him if.
We have to be careful. We have to train our children, protect them, inform them,
but not
but
scare them.
not make them paranoid. I mean,
Right.
even as parents, like I'm
Right.
probably really overprotective
Yeah.
and maybe on the paranoid side because I don't want my kids to be a statistic. I don't
Right.
want anything bad happening to them, so I probably go overboard.
You're a no, but you're a protective parent. That's really good. But while you protect, you also have to educate that. Look, when things like this happen, they happen. It's like a school shooting. They happen. They're horrible, awful. But generally speaking, most people in the world are good people.
Yeah.
So your child being able to be friendly and say hello to somebody is very important. Okay, if they turn out to show signs of something else, then run or do something different.
Would it be okay to say, let me determine until you're old enough if
Sure.
they're good or not? Don't
Yeah.
assume that you can't trust
Yeah.
anybody unless mommy says it's okay. But even then, you have, there was that story of that other child that was molested, a neighbor who was friends with a family, right?
Let's go to statistics. Statistics indicate that most kids who get molested are molested by somebody they know.
Right.
Okay, so that makes it even, so again, there's the too friendly. So again, parents educating their kids about, okay, and don't let anybody touch you.
That's really important. I went through that right away with my daughters.
Yeah.
Nobody touches your private parts. Nobody.
No.
If you're, we go to the doctors. Mommy's in the room. The doctor. That's fine. But nobody.
Yeah.
That's your body parts, and only you touch them. Or mommy. If I take you to the doctors, whatever.
But in the presentation, we'll conclude on this.
I hope that sounded right. You know what I'm saying.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. But in the
there was a time when I was changing it.
in the presentation with them, present it in kind of a calm, non-frightening way.
Yeah.
Hey, things like this happen. We're protecting you. Most people are good, but hey, sometimes you'll run into some people that are not. If they're too friendly or they're really mean, you know what? Better to just kind of walk away quickly and call me, mom and dad, or a trusted adult, and let them help you. And it's very important that they know you're always there.
Well, it's too bad that they
important.
can't just play freely and trust everybody. It's too bad we live in a world like this, but you know what? It'd be better if we teach them, educate them, and we can all be safe. Thank you for joining us on Prime Time.
Always.